All right, welcome. So I'm going to ask Crystal to go first, and then just you guys tag team yourselves. Crystal, once you introduce yourself, pick a leader.
Okay, I'm Crystal March. I am in slightly chilly Charlotte, North Carolina. We had our ice storm yesterday, but everyone is well. I did not lose power. That's wonderful. I am a director. I've been here for a year and 4 months, and my group is the Wine Aficionados.
Yay.
Awesome. And Anya, go.
Hey, everybody from snowy, icy, chilly Pocono Mountains, Pennsylvania. Anya Fiducia. I am your lead director. I've been with One Hope for about 5 years. I'm going to pass it over to Lori Archer.
Hi, I'm Lori. I'm from South Jersey. I've been with One Hope for 1.5 years now, and I'm a lead director.
Yay.
Erin Barrett.
Hey, thank you. Here I am in Ohio. It's cold. It's 27 and we have snow, our first official snowfall, I guess. I've been with Hope for 5 years and I'm a lead director. I'm going to throw it over to Jamie Bowers, also in Ohio.
Hi guys, I am sitting in bed with a sick little one, so I'm waving and then I'm going to turn my picture back on while I talk. I'm just down the road from Erin in Ohio, so our major city's Columbus, so we're central Ohio, so we're dealing with the same snow and snow delays and all that good stuff. But I've been a cause entrepreneur for 2.5 years, so I'm a director.
Yay.
And I'm going to pass it over to, let's see, Andrea Black.
Hi there, I'm Andrea from, it's not so cold, about 60 degrees or 55 degrees here near Sacramento, California. And I've been with One Hope for 2.5 years. And I'm going to pass it on to Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie, and I am in San Jose, California, and I'm an executive cause entrepreneur. And I joined in 2019, but I started working my business last February, so it's kind of like a year for me of actually working.
I love that. Jump in whenever you can.
I don't know if there's anybody else.
Why don't you toss it over to let's say Kaz.
Kaz. Kaz.
Hey everyone, I'm Kaz in Littleton, Colorado. So I have the same gorgeous day today that Laurie had. I'm a senior director with the Givers and Tasters team, the G&Ts. Have been with the company about 6 years, and I'm going to pass it over to Laura. Laura, you've not been on yet, have you?
Hey, Kaz. Hi, everybody. Laura Demetrio. I am a senior executive director. I have been with One Hope for about 5.5 years, and our team is the Time for Wine crew. And I hate when you come on your phone and I can't see everybody on one screen, so I'm scrolling. I'm going to pass it over to Marcy Source.
Yay.
Hey, I'm Marcy. I am a director in Oakland, New Jersey, where it's been cold and kind of snowy and yucky, but it's winter. And I've been with One Hope a year and 7 months, something like that. So, and my team is the Bottled Inspiration. And I have the same thing where I looked for my phone here. Who else is here? Kim Cronin, did you go yet?
I did not.
Okay, passing it to you.
Recorded.
Hi, I'm Kim Cronin. I'm in Manchester, New Hampshire. Nice and chilly today. I'm an impact director, and I joined April 2020, so just under 2 years, and I lead Partners in Vine as my team. Yay. And I joined a couple minutes late, so I'm not sure if everybody's gone.
Thank you, Kimberly. I am scrolling. Who did I know? Heidi. Oh, Teresa. I see you. You're this big, but I see you.
Hello, I'm Teresa and I'm from Texas. I've been with One Hope Valentine 2020. I'm a lead director and I'm over the sophisticated sippers.
Yes, you are. Are you getting cold weather there, Taretha?
It's cold, but it's not, my husband says it's not cold. So, but I'm cold.
Not Colorado cold. Yeah. Well, yeah. Good. Good. Okay. Oh, and Heidi Jacoby is just jumping in. We're going to let her introduce herself as soon as she gets settled in the door here. And then I see our guest of honor has arrived. So I have a couple of quick things to talk about. And then we're going to get blown away by Garrett over here. Heidi Jacoby, are you able? Hi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Heidi Jacoby. I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I don't know why I'm sorry.
You're in here twice. I know that, I think.
Lead Impact Director. Hi.
Hi. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, pouring with purpose.
Good job. All right. Well, I am going to change your view so that right now you see Heidi. Hello, Heidi. I don't know why you see Heidi, but you should be seeing sweet Garrett, who I now have lost. I asked Garrett to come on tonight because as we're sort of having this, resurgence. Okay, one moment, please. Somebody needs to mute. As we're having this resurgence of whatever we're calling this craziness, Omicron right now, a lot of us are going back to virtual tastings. And Garrett has, first of all, he does an amazing in-person tasting. I've been very blessed to attend a tasting led by Garrett. Garrett, you have to talk about all the things that you are. I mean, obviously you're a som, but the Four Seasons, just like everything. I would love for you to kind of tell everybody all the things and how your virtual tastings are going, and what are some of the things that you are doing on a virtual tasting that maybe we can take along with us to really sort of pump up our experience and pump up the experience of our guests. So no pressure, man. Just be you. You're good, Garrett. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Lori. Yeah, it's great to see everyone on the call. I love doing these. I just jumped into one of our other leaders' calls last week, and it's a lot of fun to share wine. And as far as tips and tricks, I'm sure I'll have a couple for us as we keep talking. But one thing I like to do early on is set the stage for fun and get people off of mute and get people sort of engaged in it, because conversations in real life, you're not on mute. And so letting people sort of ask questions and carry the conversation in a path that is interesting to them, because people get lectured at and run through decks and told what to do all day long. And our goal here on these tastings in real life or in virtual is to make them fun and engaging. And so for me, I always encourage people to take themselves off of mute, and I always encourage them to ask questions, jump in when they can. It can be a little awkward, but I'd encourage that awkward moment versus a group of just changing squares sort of looking at me the whole time. And I always try to monitor the chat box as well to see if anyone has chimed in. And it's kind of neat because you'll see the first kind of one or two people pop in a question, and then it'll loosen up a little bit, just like a group in real life. It just takes a second to get people comfortable with you. So I always try to set the stage there. And then one of the things that I have the advantage of, not currently, but I oftentimes do them in our winery. I guess I should back up. You were introducing me, but for those that don't know what I do day in and day out at One Hope, I'm the director of hospitality at the winery. So our flagship winery in the heart of Napa Valley. And I've been with One Hope since 2016. I was originally the Southeast Regional Manager out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I was opening accounts with hotels and restaurants, on-premise accounts, and managing an 8-state territory and the distribution of One Hope through the wholesale channel. So I've been in Napa Valley for about 1.5 years, and really was tasked with designing the hospitality and experience that we have at the winery, and not too dissimilar from what you all do every day. I share wine, and I'm focused on actually building the 2020 Collective, which is sort of one of our most aspirational wine club / social club, but still rooted in purpose and doesn't change anything from what you all do. We just focus on a few key pillars: health, hunger, water, and education. And we work with great organizations throughout the year to commit 20 significant acts of hope through that small community. So any questions on that? Does everyone have wine in their hand too? That's usually a big indicator as well of how well a tasting is going to go. I see you, Erin. There you are. And so I always like to get people, enjoying the wines. I do have a question for everyone. Do the tasting flights? Is that what most of you are tasting through when you do a virtual tasting?
You guys can shout it out. You can put it in the
take yourselves off mute.
Yeah,
I just gave
whatever you like.
Garrett, that's what I've used. Most of my tastings have been with the tasting flights.
Yeah. So
which makes it nice.
Yep.
It does, because you can kind of open all the wines and walk them through it. I have a question. Do you all like to start with the sparkling or the Chardonnay?
I start with sparkling.
Okay.
Sparkling.
I start with
Sparkling.
sparkling.
Nice. Seems like a pretty good consensus there. I think starting with bubbles is never a bad decision. It might also be kind of fun to switch that up and finish with bubbles as like a refreshing way to end it. And there's a little bit of what we call RS, or residual sugar, in the sparkling wine that can kind of, it won't be washed out from Cabernet. So you always like to do progressive tasting. So Chardonnay, Pinot, Cab makes a ton of sense. But where that sparkling is laid out is pretty flexible.
I love
and
that.
yeah, and then for pairing wise, that sparkling, I think it's also fun to do like something on the saltier side, like a pretzel or some popcorn or something like that. The kind of sweet and sour, or sweet and salty, is a really fun counter action of a pairing. So that's a lot of fun. And I was talking about my advantages before I went into my intro. And I usually give people a little bit of a walkthrough of the winery. And I was thinking, how can cause entrepreneurs around the country able to do that? And I think having maybe a couple pictures that are quickly able to pull up as you share your screen. And, we talk a lot about democratizing the Napa Valley wine experience and bringing people to Napa, or bringing Napa to people's doorsteps. And I think showcasing the winery and showcasing maybe one or two key rooms that we love sharing is a good way to get people to connect with your flagship winery virtually. So that's something I always like to do. It's in the collateral as well. So in the tasting kit, there's some really awesome pictures. My lovely assistant, you all know Taylor. You should see her. She's behind the camera, managing it, and she's handing me. So this is all her work. So you're letting people have a sense of place in Rutherford, and having that photography that she works so hard on is really cool. And sometimes I get blown away looking at the property in a picture, even though I go there every single day. So it's a really powerful way to connect people with a sense of place. And that's what wine does, right? It takes them back to a place or a time that they're enjoying it with their friends and family. So those are some of the kind of high level tips and tricks that I would suggest to connecting people with our brand and our purpose. Always so many great comments about our photography. Yeah, she's brilliant. So absolutely. They have you guys seen, I don't know if I'm allowed to tease it, but there's a puzzle. Has anyone seen the puzzle?
No.
Oh. Well,
what?
You know what? You heard it here first.
There's a puzzle.
There's a puzzle.
No,
so
stop it.
We made a puzzle of this photo here.
No way.
Or a similar photo. Apparently not this one exactly. But we have a beautiful, really fun puzzle. And I'm not sure when it's getting released. So, and also you didn't hear it from me. But I think that would be a really fun thing to have for our Great Wine Club members and our best customers, because it keeps the brand front and center, right? On that game room table or in the living room. And also they get to see our beautiful oak room.
Yeah.
Yes, a perfect picture for a jigsaw puzzle. There was some great debates about that, by the way.
It's perfect because of all the repetition.
Well, there's a lot of black space too. So it's hard to find which is which.
I love it.
Yeah. So again, not like the most game-breaking information there, but apparently no one knew about it. So that's fun.
Garrett, let something go. I love it. Garrett, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Seven Cellars Pinot Noir.
Love it.
The farm. Sorry. So
The farm.
just a little treat there. I like what Seven Cellars is doing. I think they're a really fun brand to talk about at the winery. For those, does anyone have any questions about Seven Cellars or that relationship?
I know there's a lot of new CEs on the call, so it'd be great if you could share a little bit. That'd be awesome.
That's funny. Kim Smith is calling out my bluff. She's like, "You held up Chardonnay." I like you, Kim. But it's I had that there as a quick and easy prop though, so you have to give me credit there. That being said, what were you asking? The new CEs on the call.
Just tell us a little bit about our relationship with
Yeah.
Seven Cellars, who they are, what they do, the farm,
Yeah.
can.
So Seven Cellars is two basically sub brands. So you have the farm and this the reserve. And there's a reserve of Chardonnay and Cabernet. They're both AVA specific or America Viticulture specific. One is from Oak Knoll and the other one is from Caneros. And then they're on the more expensive side. And then there's 3 varietals from the farm collection. There's a Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Cabernet from kind of more approachable regions like Monterey or Paso Robles and stuff like that. And the relationship is basically a joint partnership, a 50-50 relationship between us and John Elway, a relatively famous quarterback out of the mid 90s. My girlfriend is an avid fan. And so he's not only a partner with One Hope Inc., he's also a partner at State 8. So when you visit the winery, we do at times showcase some of his reserve wines. They all go to Team Rubicon. So that's a really cool organization providing disaster relief through veterans and helping veterans kind of get deployed fast and first on these sites. We do not have access. Yeah, I think that's true. It's a wholesale account only. So again, just kind of differentiating the channels and making sure that there's not channel conflict, and but also allowing the brand to be present in the marketplace. Does Mari make the Seven Cellars wines? She does. Yep. Yeah. So she works very closely with John Elway's business manager, Jeff, who's the president of the brand, and also the GM of the brand, Dan Foster, who works kind of oversees our entire wholesale portfolio at this point. And Mari is our director of wine. So anything with the back label One Hope, she is in charge of.
Nice.
Yeah. Great questions though. Anything else? The cab is everything. Awesome. Yeah. So some of you have had the farm, but you guys don't have it to sell. So what do you order it from the Seven Cellars website?
Yeah, how would we get it? Would we get it in the store? Maybe that's one thing that you could do, Garrett, is talk about the different channels and what that looks like and what we have access to and what we don't have access to, and things like that, and how it helps us remain exclusive with what we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one thing, Jamie just said, Paso Robles. I never figure out how to say it. So that is, I'm not the leader of pronunciation, but that is how you say
it. Yep.
Are you sending all of us a puzzle? I don't even have one. There's yeah. So we like to think of like an omni-channel approach. The biggest and most powerful channel is our direct to consumer channel, which is everyone on this call, our cause entrepreneur community. And it reached up to 10,000. And it keeps growing. And we handle the logistics, the licensing, the marketing, and you all are kind of our best salespeople. You're in the field every day, making an impact and sharing our wine. We also have a channel called wholesale. So wholesale is how we have to use a 3-tier system in America. So there's the supplier, which is the winery. There's the distributor, which is basically the middle person, and then the end user, which is the restaurant or the wine shop. Pardon me. And so we have to follow the federal regulations there. And so that's why I'm sure you guys have wanted to sell to your favorite restaurant in town or wanted to sell to this great account. And it didn't go well. And it doesn't go well because we're not allowed to sell directly to the restaurants. We have to go to a distributor, and that distributor has to ship to a restaurant. It's called a 3-tier system. And it's really important for the federal government, and no one wants to get fined or in trouble like that. So that's a channel. That channel is how this brand started back in 2007. The 8 co-founders were all in wholesale, so working in retail distribution with a small winery up the street called Gallo. And so they were very familiar with that channel. And then over to the course of time, we transitioned most of our focus to the Cause Entrepreneur channel, or the direct-to-consumer channel. And it's been an awesome journey so far. And then there's the third avenue, which is our corporate sales. If you've been with the company long enough, you probably have worked directly with corporate sales. They're able to do the large volume stuff, anywhere from, a wedding, but also partners up to the size of Google have used our wines as gifting. And so that's a really great channel for us, specifically during the holidays. Corporate gifting is a huge avenue, and we have an awesome team there. If you haven't met Alyssa and team, probably worthwhile. I feel like I email them all the time. I get hits and leads, and I just send them straight to Alyssa. It's beautiful.
Garrett, let me give you my number.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. And then the other side is basically what we think about from the winery. It's the newest channel. And what we do at the winery is our most exclusive handcrafted wines, wines that by nature just can't scale. So for example, our 2018 Fumé Blanc, we made 85 cases. Imagine if we put that on the website. We barely have enough for our collective, let alone putting it out there to everyone. So we kind of span the gamut of price point. And so our most exclusive and our most expensive wines are all single vineyard designate. They're all handcrafted. And from here on out, they're all going to be made on our winery. So really the most unscalable and aspirational version of the brand. And we only sell those wines basically to our 2020 collective, which Lori P is a proud partner. And they get an allocation in the spring, an allocation in the fall, and then our most prestigious bottling, the Visionary Magnum, is shipped to their door during the holidays. And that's one of our smallest channels, but it's one of our fastest growing right now as we just opened the winery. So to see, triple digit growth is pretty easy year on to year right now. So that's kind of the 1,000-foot perspective of our main channels and business model.
I love it. Thank you so much. Somebody's asking, we got a lot of questions here. One of them was, are our bottles in grocery stores anymore? You will not see our Vintner collection in any grocery store, liquor store, bar, or restaurant. Correct, Garrett?
Correct. The Vintner collection is exclusive to this Cause Entrepreneur community. Lori, you watched us go through that transition and sort of dealing with some of those growing pains. I see some Publix comments and Whole Foods comments. A couple years back, there was certainly the dot label was pretty well spread out and certainly wasn't the best for you all's personal business.
Yeah, it was cool though. It did give brand recognition, and it gave us some sort of, in the very beginning, it gave us some, what's the word I'm looking for? Not clout.
Credibility.
Yeah, exactly. Credibility, we'll go with that. Because here you were talking about this wine that nobody had heard of. 6 years ago, nobody had heard of One Hope. I'm certainly not in Colorado. I wanted to also mention Kaz is also a 2020 collective member. And Garrett, do you want to talk? I mean, is there an opportunity for other people to be part of the 2020 collective, or are we taking applications? I know it's an application process.
Yeah, there is always opportunity. So we're growing the collective. The one thing we did do is we didn't know, right? We didn't really know about product market fit. And the one thing, if you stick with One Hope long enough, you'll learn that we're always trying to learn and do better. And so we opened up the collective we started with a wait list because the winery wasn't open, it was delayed. And then we sort of worked off that wait list, and those were our first people that we welcomed. And then as summer hit, we got a pretty big spike in business. So we kind of activated the wait list again to pump the brakes a little bit and making sure that we were building a really diverse and interesting community around the winery. People that we wanted to, have Friendsgiving with or Super Bowl parties, and not just anyone. And so we want to grow to 2,000. We wanted to add 200 this year. We went a little bit heavy there, but we're going to keep adding a couple hundred every year until we reach our number. We think about the concept of network effects at the winery. And so every time we add someone, if they're the right fit, it makes it a more valuable experience for every other member, because they get to learn and engage with someone else that's like-minded, but also probably from a different walk of life or background. Kind of the best example is like the telephone. The more people that have a telephone, the better it works. And we like to think about how we build the collective. Every person should add like a significant layer of value to the system. And so doing that takes time and building it organically. But being a cause entrepreneur or a wine club member is certainly a very quick way to bypass any sort of wait list or any sort of protocols there. And that's just because you guys are our biggest fans. You are everyone on this call is a raving fan of One Hope, and that's why you're all here. You're all very successful in what you're doing. And then the collective itself isn't too different from what your wine club might be. But we're biannual, so twice a year. And then so someone mentioned, is the Oakville ever coming back? Likely not, because the production on that doesn't allow us to put it on the internet, or else would sell out of it and there'd be no really beautiful wines at the winery. So I do think that we start filling in the middle with not only with some great partnerships, but with some really high-end wines as demand for the cause entrepreneur community keeps sort of carrying on and wants to push the envelope. But without question, our Vintner collection is the biggest mover for anything that's been on the website. So we kind of found a sweet spot with that $20 to $25 price point.
Absolutely. I wanted to mention Laura Dimitri is also a 2020 collective member. So just so you guys know, when you reach senior executive director or national executive director, you become a member of the 2020 collective. So if I saw somebody say, I can't remember who it was, it's on their vision board. So go for it. Absolutely. It's definitely worth shooting for. It's just an incredible thing to be a part of. And I wanted to kind of circle back on our Vintner wines. I think those of us who did start, 5-6 years ago, those wines were good. They were the dot label. You may hear people refer to the dot label. They were a little bit hit and miss. Like some of them were out of the park, amazing. What I love about the Vintner collection is that it's so consistent. And so palatable for really everybody. So from a novice wine drinker to an experienced wine drinker, they're going to find something that they love in that collection. So it's been really nice to have that consistency and have that beautiful wine to share with people.
Yeah, there's a good question. How to communicate and create that demand for mid to high point wines. So like what you're asking perhaps is, it's easier to sell a cheaper product or a more affordable product, if you will. And how do you educate your customer? So before I was with One Hope, I spent about 7 years at the Four Seasons. And I'm a sommelier by trade. And so one of the things that I had to do was convince someone to actually buy the bottle of wine before they had the chance to taste it, which is an interesting sort of deal, right? Because that you pull the cork on it, as long as the wine's not flawed, technically the most expensive thing they're going to add to their check that evening would be that bottle of wine, mostly speaking. So we would do that. It was my job to kind of create that value. I love creating value by stories. Stories are what people remember. They don't remember spec sheets about alcohol and sugar content and oak regiments. They actually remember the story of the family or the purpose or the impact. And with One Hope, the higher you go in price point, the more that story gets interesting, specifically for me, because we start talking about terroir and very small single vineyard farms that have a very unique expression based on soil type, temperatures, wind. All of these things take a role into that kind of wine. So as you get into the reserves, I think the best thing you could do is really study the AVA or the sub AVA. So whether it's Monterey County or Paso Robles or San Luis Obispo, whatever it might be, do a little bit of homework, spend about 10 or 15 minutes understanding that region and why Pinot Noir is so great there or Cabernet is so great there, and what makes it different from the overall California AVA, and getting that sense of purpose and being able to add a couple layers of detail is going to really help your guests understand and kind of trust you a little bit more before they take that deep dive into a $60 plus bottle of wine, which is expensive by any stretch of the imagination. And then the other than that, I think you have a distinct advantage in in-person tastings because you get to share the wine first, right? So you don't have to have anyone convince you. You don't have to convince them that they like it or not. That's up to them. But if you can add some context and take them to a certain place, when we have some of the international collections, that's a lot of fun. Teaching people about Prosecco and stuff like that can get really exciting. So I hope
love
that
the
helped you.
ideal. Yeah, thank you. I love the stories, I think is the key, because I love that midpoint, like the vintner to midpoint level of wines, like our reserves. But I feel like we don't have enough content around that. And I need to learn how to tell those stories, because that's I see a huge market there in this general, where I'm at for that. As well as, of course, the vintner wines that are going to be your table wines for every day. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then so for resources on that sort of things, I think we have a pretty good wine training, but also just digging in. I love maps, and when you can kind of see a map, you can start to understand why certain regions are really great. For me, again, I have cheat code. I do this from the winery, and I can point to the mountain range that's blocking the coastal influence and why Pinot Noir is not grown where we have a vineyard. But being able to pick out some of those geographical things that are creating a climate that makes sense, or a terroir that makes sense for a certain kind of grape. And as you sort of peel back some of that layer, you'll learn that certain grapes tend to have like a his and her, like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. They tend to do well together. They grow together because they're very similar in their structure. For us in Napa Valley, it's Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc, and they're related. So Cabernet Sauvignon is actually the son of Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc. So that crossed together and created a new wine called Cabernet Sauvignon. And when you do that, you now have two wines that grow perfectly in a very similar climate, and that's our counterpoint to Cabernet Sauvignon. So as you sort of peel that layer back, you can take people to this place and tell them why we go to Monterey County, or why we go to Sonoma Coast for our Chardonnays, or Carneros for our Pinot Noirs, because of the maritime influence and the ocean influence, and that measurable difference from that cold Pacific water cooling off those grapes. And so all of those things, I mean, most of this information nowadays, whether it's on our website or out there in the general internet, is awesome stuff to bring to your tasting. If you are pushing your guests into that reserve collection, it's worth you doing a little bit of homework there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys, I hope you were taking notes there, because that, you don't have to be, in my opinion, Garrett is an expert. I'm definitely not. I'm what I always say, I'm a mom who drinks a lot of wine, right? So that's my expertise. I know what I like. I know what's great, what fits my price point, whatever. But those little pieces, those little tidbits that Garrett is sharing with us, those are things you take to your tasting. Every time you hear Garrett speak, or you hear Mari speak, or anybody, you take those bits and you carry them into your tasting. Literally, I start out my tasting by telling everybody I am not a sommelier. Literally, I'm a mom who drinks a lot of wine. So I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to, I don't know all the things, but here's what I know. This is good wine, and here's why. But those little pieces of information that Garrett drops just like that, that is absolutely going to elevate your tasting to the next level. So thank you so much, Garrett. It's so awesome.
Yeah. So there were some questions. Sorry, thank you, Lori P. There's a book out there. It's called Windows to the World. And as far as beyond our sense, our great training, I think that is a really great book to read. It's an easy read. He's had 7 editions. His name's Kevin. And every year, wine's an ever-changing kind of moving target, so you'll never know everything. But if you get the most recent one, it's a really good read. It's an easy read. And it's the same thing when I train a new teammate here at the winery. We read House of Mondavi because we share the story of Fumé Blanc. Mm-hmm. And for my team to be able to go left and right on that story and lean into Margaret or Cesare and some of the other family members that perhaps aren't in our everyday story, but because they have that kind of width of knowledge, as soon as you can kind of change the narrative. We never know who we meet at the barrel, but if you have some of that good kind of background knowledge, I think that's a good resource. And I think it's just a good thing to kind of go into your tastings with. If you, again, if you're kind of leaning into the more expensive wines, being a little bit of an authority is not a bad idea.
Love that. I love that. Does anybody else have any questions for this amazing human that we have captured on our screen here tonight? I want to tell you, I'm drinking the 2018 Napa Valley Cab, that anniversary. What the actual?
Nice.
It's so good. This is my first time trying it. It's delicious.
I think just to ring our bell one more time, but we're only pushing in the quality in all levels. It's skyrocketing since Mari's joined the team. It's been an awesome rocket ship of watching our juice change. If you've been for a long time or you just got to introduce the Vintner collection, every release just seems to kind of push quality a little bit better, and it's very exciting. I don't know when Merlot's coming back. Thank you, Kaz, for dropping the link into Kevin's book. That's a really good quick read, and it gives you a lot of left and right momentum when talking about wine in general.
I love that. Thank you.
I told you about a puzzle. I can't tell you about release dates of Merlot. Come on.
Hey, blink twice if it's coming back. Oh my God, he's like, my eyes are watering. I can't.
Oh, I'm reading the comments.
Oh my goodness. Anybody have, you guys, you've got like the guy here, the expert. One of the cool things about the tasting at the winery is the pairings are so awesome. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful space. And as the director of hospitality, you've done an incredible, incredible job. It's so warm and welcoming. It's just a really great experience. So highly recommend.
Yeah, well, we'd love to have all of you. As far as reservations are concerned, you can go to the website, but also just so all the CEs know, we can't guarantee a reservation, but you are one of our highest priorities. We'd love for every CE to see the winery. We can't always accommodate, but being a CE definitely pushes you far and above most other people. So if you are in Napa Valley, please fill out that form. Let us know you're a cause entrepreneur, and we'll do our darndest to make sure that we can show you the facility and share some of our handcrafted kind of single vineyard expressions.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we have run out of questions. Garrett, I can't thank you enough. Do you have another one?
Yeah. So hold on. Can you break down the Malbec for us? Sure. But I mean, in what expression? So Malbec is always going to be kind of a rich, bold wine. That's what it does. I think the one thing it does a little bit different, it kind of has this black pepper note to it. But if you have a Cabernet lover and they're looking for something that's maybe slightly more affordable than some of our other high-end Cabernets, I think Malbec does a really good job making a really high quality wine at kind of an aggressive price point. When I was building lists at the Four Seasons, I always got excited with Malbec because value to quality ratio seemed to be really, really good. And you get a lot of bold fruit. You get a little bit of like sage and cellar floor. And the tannin structure is pretty pronounced. Not quite Cabernet Sauvignon, but it has some grippiness. And I think body-wise, it's maybe equal to Cabernet. Tannin's a little bit less, but much more intense than like a Pinot Noir or something along those lines. So hope that helps. It usually stands alone, thrives in the Southern Hemisphere, likes a warm climate. Its home is actually from a region called Cohars, which is in Bordeaux. And that's, if you ever see that, that's actually a standalone Malbec. It's one of the 5 noble varietals. It's been a little bit shunned out, and it moved over to Argentina, but it's thriving there and making some really good wines at pretty good value.
Wow, you just dropped like a ton of vocab words, dude. Like, what?
Past August, serious memory make. Oh, thank you all. All right.
One quick thing.
Yeah, sure.
You said, so
Uh-oh.
I'm sure we're all like writing stuff down. But when you were talking about the Malbec, you said something like value to blah-de-blah. Like
value to quality.
Value to quality. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Malbec over delivers. And that's where I think it kind of became a favorite wine for a lot of people that would come into a restaurant list or into a venue, and they'd order a glass of Malbec, and they knew they'd get a wine that was bold. They knew they'd get a wine that had really good color and nice tannin structure, and was well made, and it wouldn't be the most expensive by the glass pour on the list. And that's because it just was a bit more affordable than some of like the really high end pours that you might experience on the list. So I always thought that was the case when I was picking Malbecs out, was to, I was like, wow, this is only X amount of dollars. That's impressive. And so that's where I think Malbec kind of wins its dollar per gallon value is really good.
What about, you mentioned the 5 royal what?
5 noble varietals
Noble
of Bordeaux. Yeah, so the Bordeaux, there's Cabernet, Merlot, Malbec, Petit Verdot, and those are your 5 varietals that are basically blended in Bordeaux. And Bordeaux is always a blend, whereas Burgundy is always a single varietal. I feel like there's a story of GSM. We used to have it years ago. Did we? We had a GSM.
We did, yeah, for like a hot minute. We did.
Was it from Rhone?
No, I don't. Kaz will remember. Do you remember where it was from, Kaz?
I don't remember where it was from. It was such a great wine. It was so bold and delicious, and it was a bargain price. And a lot of people didn't like it. But I put it up on like a taste test against our Oakville $100 wine, and it was like a $20. It was a $25 wine, and it went like head to head with one of our estate wines, and everyone preferred it. Yikes! So yeah, I would love to have something like that. It's such a good kind of traditional blend, right?
Yeah. So GSM, it stands for Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. And it's the classic blended varietals of Rhone, which is a sub appellation of France. And so like it's interesting that that we would even market it as a Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, like a GSM blend. It's actually like a SOM term to describe Rhone blends. And so Rhone has 23 permitted varietals, but the dominant varietals are Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. And then when you get into like Côte Rôtie, it's standalone Syrah and stuff like that. But that's really cool. I mean, in the Central Coast, there's this like subcategory of winemakers called Rhone Rangers, and they're doing all these Rhone varietals in the Central Coast and also in the Sierra foothills. Mari used to make a bunch of Rhone varietals, and if you had the chance to taste our El Dorado Rosé, that was Cinsault, Mourvedre, and Grenache, which are all Rhone varietals as well. So, and that came from a county that's just to the right of Sacramento. Or east, depending if you look at your map upside down. East.
I prefer right, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's an interesting vote. I think Kaz, you have some pull around this place. And I'll throw in my vote on that too. We'll see. We do have some really exciting stuff on the horizons. I don't want to say too much, but there are some questions about the international collection. There's some in the chamber that we're probably looking at like fall for a good release. And from all price categories, some really cool stuff from Spain that I'm pretty excited about. The Pure Rat region, which is a really cool region that's doing a lot of like American, or we call them international varietals, varietals that we know in America, like Cabernet, Merlot, like a Super Tuscan is a good example of that.
Ooh.
So you're going to see some of that stuff. You're also going to see probably some collabs between us and other winemakers coming up by the end of the year. So the portfolio is getting more and more exciting. And it's something we're working really, really hard in the home office, is to keep things fun and interesting and always have new releases for your clients.
So exciting indeed. I'm super excited about that. Okay. Any big questions for Garrett? We got to let him go because I know it's time for dinner over there. Yeah. And we watched it go from light to dark behind you.
I got one more. I just want to touch on this. I'm going to drop off too. I don't have much to ask about the kosher wines, but the El Dorado Rosé, we're going to make enough to sell out of that, and we're going to be out of it every fall, every year. Okay. And if we don't run out by the fall, just know in July and August, all I'm doing is pouring rosé at the winery until we run out, because I don't want to have rosé year round. It should be something that's fun and special.
Yeah.
And so it's good to run out. We'll have the Vintner Rosé year round, but if Mari makes me something special and we open it up to the cause entrepreneur community. If you don't sell it out by July or August, I'm pushing it and you won't have it in November. I promise. We'll give it to every collective member for a gift. But I like, so standing room only on that rosé, and we're out of it. I only have like 6 bottles at the winery, and Dan just took some the other day. So we're running out of it everywhere.
That was good. That was a really nice rosé. I loved it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Herman, I see you down there. You've been quiet the whole time. I think you're the lone gentleman on the call, but it's been awesome talking to you all. I hope to see you all in Napa. And I think, Lori, I see you next week.
Yes, sir.
And I hope your husband plays pickleball, because I'm putting together a little pickleball tournament.
I love it. I love it.
All right.
I love it. Thank you so much, Garrett. Everybody say thanks to Garrett. Unmute yourselves, give him a high five, give him some cheers. Thank you so much, Garrett.
Thank you, Garrett. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks
Thanks
so
much.
much.
Yeah. Thanks,
Cheers.
Garrett. Okay, that was awesome, right? You guys, I'm gonna let you go. I know it's probably time for dinner or bed or whatever, but wow, what a treat. What a treat. I hope you took some great notes. I'm definitely gonna go read that book, Windows on the World, or Windows to the World, and House of Mondavi. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's our heritage. Let's read that. Thank you so much for coming by tonight. This is recorded. I will post it in the group. There was a lot of information in there. So when you have an opportunity, go back and watch the video, share it with your teams. Really great tidbits to be dropping at your tasting. So awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful night.
Bye.
See me coming to you from Napa pretty soon.
Bye. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.